Welcome to a special live edition of the Supply Chain Lab. I'm your host, Shihluke Maluleke, and today we're exploring a topic that could transform the way businesses operate: service design. Too often, companies focus on efficiency and forget the most important part of the equation, the people they serve. But what if designing better supply chains wasn't just about cutting costs, but about making services seamless and effortless? To help us unpack this incredible topic, we have two guests, Antti and Asko from Laurea University. Thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shihluke. We are so happy to be here.
So I think just to kick off the conversation, I think you guys should just introduce yourself, give us a little bit of background about who you are, what you do, and the university that you come from.
Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Asko Mononen, coming from Laurea University of Applied Sciences. So we are situated around Helsinki, Finland. So Northern Europe, the land of Santa Claus and Nokia and Angry Birds, for example. So at Laurea we apply this learning by development kind of a pedagogical model. That means that we have a lot of projects working with the companies. We involve the students right from the start. You might be doing tens of projects during your studies, including your internships and theses for the companies. So at the moment, once you graduate, so you have the networks, you have the knowledge of the kind of working life, and we are proud of our employment rate after graduation, which is 96% after the first year of working, so which is very high. So very nice to be here.
Yes, thank you, Asko. My name is Antti Keskitalo, and I work in Laurea as a senior lecturer. I'm teaching service design. That's the most closest to my heart, and also leadership management and business management related themes. I'm also our DY project manager in one small externally funded project. So I'm like pretty much doing everything with the students and with the co-workers, and everything that I'm doing, I'm trying to apply this kind of method of highly collaborative approach and co-creation. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. So I think the first thing is just to explain what service design is. I think when people hear the word design, they automatically think like graphic design or I don't know. So I think if you guys could just give us high level, what is service design exactly? What do you mean? And yeah.
Thank you, Shihluke. I would like to start by describing service design in a quite practical way. Service design is a practice of designing all kinds of services. And if you think about a little bit deeper, there are some principles that are like very necessary to have an effective design process. So the key principles are empathy, it's a co-creation, process optimization, and also highly collaborative approach so that we are involving all the necessary stakeholders throughout the designing process.
Anything you want to add?
So basically, once we think the new services, for example, or current services, so we start by asking the users, the customers first, observing how they're doing, what are the problems, pain points, and then we develop the services. So it should be kind of easy, kind of seamless for the end users and customers, and it should be also efficient for the companies. So along the whole kind of life cycle of the service.
And do you guys have any examples of what this looks like in real life? I don't know if you guys can think of either big organizations or small organizations that you've worked with where we can practically see service design at play.
Yeah, a couple of like practical examples, and I would like to all the time emphasize the student perspective because we are doing lots of those work-life projects together with our service design students. So a couple of practical examples. First that comes to my mind from the recent years, we have been designing a chatbot for a large organization in order to enhance the overall customer experience. However, we have been also trying to help elderly people who are living in this kind of, homes. They are not able to anymore live home. They are this kind of care homes, so that how their everyday living is going better, and how they are able to feel more safety in their lives, because they are getting older. So that we have been having a project with this kind of house too. And thirdly, the last example that comes to my mind is that we have been developing new ways together with our students how we are going to help people coming from abroad to Finland, especially young people, to integrate better in the Finnish society. So as you can see, those examples represent completely different perspectives and the goals that we can use service design for.
Maybe one other example was Helsinki City Transport Company. So they had a massive kind of series of projects around service design. So once they were designing the new system, for example, for the payments and the networks of the services, so they involved hundreds of their clients. They actually followed 3 months certain clients every day and seeing their daily schedules and so forth to really understand what are the problems, what are the issues, how to create these services that are actually serving the end users. And once you are doing that, so you'll quickly notice that actually it's better for your business as well, once you have done things smoothly for your end users.
I think you guys have given us some good insights. And when I think about it, I mean, even from a supply chain perspective, because I think in supply chain, our main focus is just on delivering at a speed for customers without taking into consideration the customer, like what the customer actually wants in the end. I think we're more business focused, as in like, this is what the business wants us to execute on, versus what are our customers, how do the customers want to deliver, which most of the time I think that is something that kind of sits in marketing, I'm not sure. And I guess service design is kind of like a new way of thinking, if that's how I understand it.
And maybe one example about e-commerce and the kind of transportation to the clients. So once they have compared the Nordic countries like Finland, Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, for example, so they have noticed that like speed of delivery in Finland is not so important as in many other countries. But it's more important that like that once I get the slot that like my stuff will be delivered at between 12 to 1 or 5 to 6 or 8 to 9 at PM, that holds. That then I can plan my stuff and so forth. So it's not so important as it come in 2 hours or 4 hours or 12 hours, for example. So if that's the case, so then you need to kind of build your services in a way that they are flexible enough for these type of things. And it might be that you actually get the better predictability once you are kind of following this system instead of just trying to speed up everything. And then once things go wrong, people are not at home, you need to come a second time, and it creates the kind of a wrong process which is supporting, and like then you end up with chaos, managing the chaos.
Yeah, that is actually a brilliant example, because I think a lot of the e-commerce, people started buying a lot online during COVID. And so a lot of organizations obviously then were forced to deliver according to that. And it was easy then because most people were working from home. But now that people are kind of back in the office, I think companies are probably losing money because they are delivering items. And if I'm not home, it means they need to make an additional trip to ensure that I'm home. And we don't know how many times they need to make that trip. Yeah, so that's actually a great example. You seem like you wanted to add something.
I would like to emphasize that whenever we are starting a new project, new development project, we have a design challenge in front of us. It's very important to start by doing like very comprehensive desk research and then going out there to field to see what our end users what our customers really think, feel, how they live, in order to really to understand that are we trying to solve the right problem? And when we are able to answer to that question, then it's time to move forward to focus on to solve this right problem right.
I think that is a great way to get into the next part of our conversation with regards to what are some of the common mistakes you believe businesses make when it comes to designing services, and how can you identify and eliminate parts of the friction? Do you have to kind of relook the entire process, or are they points in the service like that you can just focus on, fix, and then hopefully everything gets fixed?
Maybe one example would come from the designing software, so and digital services. So traditionally, how they have been done, so take a bunch of programmers and they are doing something, and then the user interface and the user experience looks like that. So everything is named exactly the same that they are in the database. But from the end user's point of view, so they don't understand what's going on in there. But if you would include, for example, one usability expert or one service designer in there, you would actually ask the end users at the designing phase already that how should it look like? Okay, draw me an interface that you would like to kind of work with. What kind of problems are we trying to solve here, and so forth. So that would guide the development to the right direction. You would be immediately much more kind of end user focused. It would be immediately much more kind of better services that we are getting as a customers and so forth.
I totally agree that 100%. And I would say that one very common mistake based on my experience is that I don't know if it's today's hectic working life. We have lots of stress. We have high-level goals that we need to reach fast, but we are rushing too much. We should be able to press the brake pedal and think that are we really trying to solve the right problem? And we service designers, I think we are the right people to help in that process.
I like what you guys said. So what would you say is one small, powerful change an organization can make to create better and a better and a more effortless customer experience?
Maybe kind of oftentimes once we start the design meeting, so it's just internal staff in the meeting room. So first thing would be like call your customer to come in, call your end user to come in, and then first like your internal staff, then shut up, listen, understand the problem, and as Antti explained, then you start to kind of solving the problems. But like so, get your customers, get your end users involved, get different disciplines involved, and collaboratively start working on these problems, solving these problems.
I would like to add, because Asko is more like a tech perspective and I have the human perspective, so hopefully we are able to combine each other's. I would like to go a little bit deeper when we are thinking about organizational development and how to solve the problems and enhance the creativity. I think one small change can be that we are really investing and focusing on how we are leading our people, how we are cooperating, how we are doing teamwork, because we really need the kind of working culture that enables us to find the mistakes, able to admit our mistakes and learn from those mistakes. And it's not possible if we are not open to each others. So we need to have enough psychological safety inside our workplaces so that we are able to learn new things fast, and we are also able to learn to leave something behind that is not working.
Yeah, I like what you're bringing in with regards to psychological safety, because I think it's something that a lot of organizations actually don't think about. And psychological safety is basically the difference between people feeling free enough to share ideas, to, I don't know, communicate with each other, to walk across from one team to another team and share those ideas, and somebody being too scared to actually speaking up, especially in the stuff that maybe they don't specialize in. However, they might have a good idea anyway. So I think I like what you bring up with regards to psychological safety. Yeah, I really, really like what you said about that.
And the research has also shown to us that when this kind of when we have research how effective teams operate, there has been quite a surprise that the hypothesis is that those teams that are working effectively and are not making any errors or mistakes, they are the most efficient. However, the reality is, based on that research, that those teams that made most mistakes, most amount of errors, were the most effective because they were able to identify them and they were able to learn from them very fast.
Yeah, that is actually that is actually very true. I worked for AB and Bev back in the day before I moved into academia, and I think AB and Bev, one of the things that they specialize in is failing fast and learning from your mistakes, right? So they take a lot of risks in a lot of the projects that they run in the organization, a lot of innovation, and I mean this is why they're the biggest beer company in the world, because they are open to taking chances and failing fast and learning from those mistakes. So the next question, I think you probably the best, I mean, both of you are the best placed person, but I think we'll start with you. So many organizations are investing in automation and AI. And I think because this is like the big thing now, what they're finding is just the integrating that AI into the organization for it to actually solve real business problems is lacking. What are your thoughts around this? How can this be improved, especially for the end user experience?
So I think we have seen how AI has developed, like evolved and kind of come into the picture in the last about 3 years. Mm-hmm. And what we have been discussing today, for example, has been this AI-powered workplace, meaning that like we need to combine the kind of latest technologies and then this psychological safety and creating the culture for kind of being innovative and supporting innovations, for example. The speed of development of AI, there's at the moment more than 30,000 tools. If you check, for example, that there's an AI for that.com, and it's kind of growing. Most likely what will happen is there will be some consolidation, so thousands of those will be not valid anymore in the coming year and so forth. But maybe kind of starting to, as a company, to kind of explore and kind of experiment, like empower your people, give them a little bit of money, for example, to try out tools, share their learnings, see where the new tools are fitting in your personal, for example, kind of workflows. So we might have like, let's say in academia, for example, if I'm creating content as a teacher, so I need certain tools to kind of structure new ideas, bringing the latest research and formulating this into the kind of structured way and kind of creating text and images, videos, podcasts out of this, so forth. If you happen to be, for example, a researcher, so then you need different tools, let's say Elicit or Research Rapid, Connected Papers, you name it. And then you need to basically understand where to find the latest knowledge, how to kind of grasp loads of latest research, how to formulate it to the research question, how to find kind of sources for those and so forth. Maybe helping with ideation phase of your next research paper, and maybe once you have done it, in the for example the proofreading and stuff like this. And then if you happen to be, for example, financial manager of this institution, so then you need different tools for data analytics, visualization, and maybe analyzing your kind of masses of Excels and Power BI and so forth to kind of understand where are the underlying things and what is affecting what and stuff like this.
I would like to add that whenever you have to deal with a huge amount of information, let's see that you have to grasp very quickly what is essential when concerning the development of a certain industry. Even the free notebook LM by Google, you are able to upload there a huge amount of like latest researchers, industry analysis reports, and after 5 minutes you are able to discuss and ask questions from that data, that has been uploaded there. So it's really changing the way we work, and I hope that it's releasing more and more time for us, to humans, to discuss those results after we have got to know what are the key takeaways of this huge amount of open data.
So I think what I'd like to add and ask you is then how do businesses balance technology with the human touch?
Yeah, as I said earlier, I'm seeing the world through the transformational leadership paradigm. So I really believe that modern ways to lead people is one of the key answers to that, so that we as leaders are playing the key role when we are designing our workplaces so that we are enhancing the employee experience, and we are able to nourish the culture, that we are able to combine best from the both worlds, from the development of technology and how we are able to use that new technology together.
Is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, maybe kind of once we cannot just implement on the kind of top of the old processes and the old kind of world and way of working the AI and like make more efficiently the stuff that we always done, but we really need to think, for example, like if people are suffering about the email kind of bombarding, so it doesn't help that like if I put a agent to my email to answer my emails and kind of extend them, and then the receivers are like having their another AI kind of making 3 bullet points and kind of trying to dictate what is important. So it doesn't make any sense. So we really need to kind of think through about these our processes, the way of working, and then kind of build something with the latest technologies on top of those.
And everybody is scared that AI is going to take their jobs. Do you want to comment on this? Do you believe that people's jobs are going to be taken by AI?
If we take a look at the last, let's say, 300 years after first kind of industrial revolution, now we are living fourth or fifth, depends who you ask. So technology has changed the jobs many times already, and AI will change the jobs again. We don't know yet which jobs, but like most likely it's not going to be the next year the AI that will take your job. It will be the person who uses AI if you are not using AI. Because like just imagine simple example that like we have a kind of counting competition, math competition, and like we are throwing the and I have a calculator and you don't have a calculator. So which one will most likely win? So most likely I will win. So in a similar way, if I have better tools than you have, for example, so I'm in a better off position. So in that sense, I would encourage, for example, if you are a medical doctor who is specialized in radiology and reading the, for example, the X-ray pictures and the other imaging pictures, detecting cancer. So if the case already is in many places that the AI can do your job better, can without mistakes 24/7 recognize the cancers from the imaging better than a group of experts. So it's most likely will change the kind of job description of the radiologist and medical doctors, that like let the machine do the job that they are the best, and our job will be maybe more shifted towards the analysis, planning, training the models, discussing with the customers, taking more customers with the help of machine, for example, in this case. So most likely it will be the other guy with the AI tools than AI itself. So you better be there on the edge, I would say.
Okay, so now I'm thinking about it as a supply chain professional and how I would need to prepare myself, like to be work ready with regards to I don't know, AI and technology. What industries, do you have any examples of industries that have been completely transformed by technology? I mean, I think in South Africa, our banking sector probably because, I think that's the sector that I can think of. Do you guys have any other examples that you can think of industries that have been completely transformed?
Yeah, banking would have been my first example as well, and if we see the kind of traditional banking going, how it evolved like last 20, 30 years, but now there has been these virtual banks who have came along, who has like don't have any physical standpoint, and like everything is online, digital interface and so forth. And just one example from the banking was that last summer I got a call from my bank that like, did you do some online shopping in Poland, like with like 10 rands or something like very minimal? I was thinking like, I don't think I did that. Like, and then I heard that like, okay, it's most likely a kind of scamming kind of trial, and so they will cancel the card, they'll send me a new card and so forth. So this kind of back-end system of like really having the AI, for example, in their case, monitoring what is normal, what is not, and immediately kind of pushing will prevent a lot of damage for the customer. So I think it's a good benchmark as banking service for many other industries. Of course, transportation, for example, we have seen Ubers and other kind of services coming in. So where everything is basically powered by a platform, and then you have a kind of service workers doing via the app, basically very simple job. So maybe these two are my examples. Do you want to continue?
Thank you, Asko. One of the example comes from my background when I studied like 15 years ago as a business coach, leadership coach. The prevailing paradigm was that that's something that we have to do together, face to face, so that we are able to have in-depth discussions, and we are able to change the way how we are thinking through our work, through our goals in life, and so on and so forth. And coming back today, after 15 years, I have to admit that I have seen very good examples of AI-based business coaches that we are able to help us to solve the tricky problems, are able to learn new skills, new practices, and you can really feel that it's like real, like effective, impactful business coaching. And that has been able to transform this kind of business so that we are able to scale those best practices to even like available for a wider amount of people.
I like these examples. I was actually chatting to a friend of mine, and they were telling me about some of the health concerns in the trucking industry because the truck drivers spend so much time in the trucks and the engines. So a lot of them end up with cancer. And so what would be good to see is, I guess, driverless trucks now coming through. And I guess maybe there's also going to be some people driving the trucks remotely from whatever other place. So I guess these kinds of, or this industry can be transformed and improved through the use of like these kinds of technologies.
Absolutely, and I think like in the latest, even the kind of consumer cars, like you have the technology to detect like if you are tired and like you are not holding your hands like on a steering wheel. But like this will definitely kind of change the things, and hopefully it will kind of 5G networks, for example, nowadays are already supporting that. You have a kind of a secure kind of bandwidth for those, so supporting that, like we have the self-driving vehicles, or we have a, let's say, remote surgery, that like we can rely on the networks in that. And anything else related to transportation?
Yeah, I think that's something that was very good example. Something that comes to my mind that we have to pay attention more and more to how we are able to solve those, maybe those ethical issues. So where is the point that how much we are able to rely on those AI-based like technologies, and where is the point that we really need to be able to take the lead and say that, okay, now it's enough, now it's me who is like deciding how we proceed further.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, like to not be overly reliant on the AI, because obviously you're dealing with a human or humans, and so you kind of need humans to see if what is being done is ethical or not. I think that's great. So I think in supply chain, one of the things we're dealing with, especially now, and I guess in every industry, is just unpredictability. with how everything is happening, like with the wars that are coming up and, the pandemics. Apparently there's going to be more of those. How do you believe service design is, I don't know, can be used to kind of combat things that you can't predict?
I think McKinsey made a study like a couple of years ago about like this, and they said that every 3.7 years was maybe 5 years ago, the kind of major shock to the global kind of supply chains, like a shock being like an effect of more than 3 months. And I think like this is getting shorter and shorter. We have seen in past years the wars and like related things to many things. And I think we need to get to a level that like our organizations are more nimble, more agile to work. You can take maybe best practices from, let's say, Uber or some other like Google Maps routing, that like if something changes, some, let's say, warehouse burns or there's some hiccup somewhere, so there's immediate routing using AI to kind of do something else. So where's the backup plan, where's the kind of plan B and so forth. So kind of building the organization for flexibility and then utilizing the AI for kind of this kind of both predictions but also to the reactions of the kind of what is the right thing to do now once the kind of shit hit the fan.
And if we are able to root the seeds of the service design principles to our organizations, we are able to understand that when we are designing a new product or service, it's when it's launched, that's not the end, it's just the beginning. So we need to have a like all the time understanding that it's an iterative process, and if we have like effective like feedback loops, so we are able to fast see and get the reactions from the field, from our customers, what is working and what is not. We are able to make quick iterations throughout prototyping and again, launching again and launching again to the field, so that it's ongoing process.
Do you guys have any examples of any businesses that successfully redesigned its service model to keep up with the changing demands? I know this is probably a tough one, but I know you guys have lots of examples.
So like one example from Finland, like we have winter there, like a proper winter, like meaning it might be half a meter of snow and -20. So that means that we need to change our summer tires and winter tires like twice a year. And there are companies who are specialized in the changing the tires. Traditionally, the way has been that like there's one person who is like taking half an hour and changing all the tires, and that's it. But like one company, Vianor in Finland, changed the system in a way that like in a Formula 1 cars, like you have 4 people actually, one for each tire, and they have 5-minute slots to change your tires. What this means is basically that like you have many more slots for customers, so there's much more flexibility for your customers. Your capacity, maximum capacity that you can take in increases. You can they took care of their kind of long-term customers by sending SMS like 3 weeks before the snow came and so forth. So they were able to kind of level down the kind of capacity utilization in there and so forth. So then once the snow comes, like that morning, everybody calls them, hey, I need my tires to be changed today and so forth. So they got better business for themselves, better customer service. If you didn't have the time booked, so there's always these 5-minute slots available, so you can just go there and queue in there and so forth. So everybody basically won, including their business and including customers. So that's maybe one example.
Do you have any other examples you want to share?
Not at the moment.
Okay, cool. I think that's an excellent example. It also, I think, shows like if companies can kind of prompt what is going to happen, then they can kind of control demand so that it doesn't. They don't have like a lot of variability in their demand, so they're not forced to keep lots of stock of something. And then once the demand for that particular item dies down, then they're just stuck with that stock until the next cycle comes in. So I like that example because it kind of forces organizations to stop being responsive and rather being proactive in how they approach their customers. So yeah, that's a really, really good example. I really liked that. So what do you think are some of the biggest challenges that businesses face when trying to create adaptability and resilience in service models? I mean, I think if I think of one, it's probably like reluctance to change of people, right? Like you'll find people that have been working in an organization for a really long time, they might be like, oh, that will never work. Like, we don't want this change. So the one that I can think about is obviously people, and not just in terms of them not wanting to change, but also in them not being lifelong learners. You know, not everybody's a lifelong learner. Not everybody's trying to always upskill. So I don't know if you guys have...
Yeah, we need to we discussed about the culture, so it's also kind of being open to new things, like not being style like this is how we have done this 20 years and so forth, without realizing that the world has changed dramatically. So maybe kind of we have done probably both of us like many of the change programs in the organization. So it typically starts with management or management and experts, and then we kind of try to first teach them like to kind of look outside of their kind of office. So what has changed? So let's both look at the data. So what has really changed in their industry? What are the new players and so forth? And well, what happened? I used to work for example, Nokia mobile phones at that time, and like so it was one great example of the kind of how things can go wrong if you happen to be the kind of greatest player there and like not very kind of nimble to kind of change. Like it's very hard position, but so it's much easier to be, for example, the second one in the industry. So then you are kind of by default much more flexible for doing the changes and doing the improvements. So it's a lot to do with the mindset. It's a lot to do with the culture, kind of giving people the space to learn, to innovate, make mistakes, kind of bringing the outside in kind of influences from the customers, from the kind of industry experts and academia and so forth.
I would like to challenge the way how we think. We have this kind of paradigm still prevailing, at least as far as I'm concerned, that change is something that comes, it starts, and then it ends. And we have kind of change management programs. They are projects that have a starting point and an ending point. However, I think that nowadays our everyday working life changes there. So when we are able to understand that we can get rid of those separate change programs and trying to create the cultures where we are able to learn something new every day. Because when we are having change management programs, they are always very tight scheduled and hurry is present. So what it has to do with our brains, we are only able to use surface learning. And if we want really to absorb information and make like behavioral change, we need more than that. We need to have enough time to absorb the information and challenge our basic assumptions, and even like discuss with our values and how we are seeing the reality, because then we are able to really to make a sustainable change how we act with each other and how we behave. It takes time.
Yeah, I think that's a great example, like basically embedding change management in corporate culture, because change is always happening, instead of running it like a project all the time. I really like that example. I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to add? Okay. So what are some of the trends you see shaping the future of service design and business strategy?
Maybe starting with the kind of sustainability in general. So we have these UN Sustainability Development Goals, which are pretty much shared globally and still kind of valued and I think valid. So that's kind of one big thing. So we are seeing, regardless of some talk and some kind of turbulence now in different geopolitical arenas around this, but like I still think that like we have seen already the effects of climate change, or kind of like if we have some issues with the food production and so forth. So I think this is a kind of major thing that will still be there in a form or another, and it's maybe we start to be in a kind of a situation that it starts to come as a kind of not as a side project, but it's kind of always there in the agenda.
I think that one of the raising themes is concept of impact. So traditionally, when we are thinking about development projects, we have a challenge, then we measure the goals that we are trying to reach for. And I've see that if we are able to think like more strategically, so that we are not only focusing on those fast wins, those primary goals, but we are able to think already from the starting point systematically, how is this our project, how could it have a wider impact, not only in our organization, but to our society and to our planet. So think about more like systematic and more like throughout the sustainable goals, I would say.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I was listening to a podcast episode recently with Stephen Bartlett and this guy called Mr. Beast. I don't know if you guys know him. I actually just learned from him by listening to this particular podcast episode. And he was saying one of his passion projects is obviously around sustainable manufacturing of chocolate. And he was saying he wants to challenge big organizations that make chocolate. Obviously, a lot of the raw material ingredients they're getting from the Congo, and a lot of child labor is used in that supply chain. And so he kind of wants to see if it's possible to actually manufacture chocolate and take out the child labor element by creating an organization that pays people well enough so that children are not required to be used within that particular supply chain. So I like what you guys are saying about sustainability. I think it's obviously, apart from obviously the environmental goals as well, a lot of organizations are also kind of being forced either through like somebody like Mr. Beast, who's creating this organization where he's challenging like, this is not the only way for you to produce chocolate. There are more sustainable and socially ethical ways to produce this chocolate, and I'm going to show you how to do it, because he also mentions that he wants to show them how to do it profitably. Because the question is always, if they don't use child labor in their chain, then it means that it's not going to be a profitable business. So yeah, I like what you guys said about that. And if you could give one piece of advice to an organization looking to improve their service design, what would it be?
Invest in your people. So, well, I would say that listen your customers and listen your own people, your own employees more and better. I would say that if we are able to enhance our employee experience, then we are able to also to enhance our customer experience. And it has to do again with the modern way of lead people, so that we see real connection between our employee experience and our customer experience. If we take care of our people, then the customers will also benefit from that.
And maybe to add to that, so create the kind of piloting culture. So start small, see what works, get learnings from that. If you need help, get the external, for example, service design consultants on board, or get the service design students on board, and just kind of make sure that you know the kind of basic design principles, and have the basic tools in place. So then, see the real life problems and start from there.
Okay. So I want to also give the audience some time to ask you guys some questions. So I think I'll ask probably maybe one or two last questions. So what book, resource, or practice would you recommend for professionals looking to learn more about service design?
Well, first source, as I'm a people guy. There are lots of good books available. However, I would like to see more of us networking together, working together, establishing relationships, friendships, so that we are able to share the best practices and also the next practices. So one and first primary source that I would recommend for us to take a look is International Service Design Network that is connecting people, sharing the best practices, and also designing the practices, new practices for solving tomorrow's challenges. Service Design Network.
And maybe this is service design doing. So there's a earlier book, this is service design thinking, which is very good. Like they have also online some free resources available, but those two books are probably very good starting points.
Okay, thank you for that. And where can our listeners connect with you guys? Where can they find you should they want to ask you more questions?
We can be found from Laurea, so either via our emails or go to LinkedIn, so we will try to link those links directly. So Asko Mononen and Antti Keskitalo.
Perfect. So I would like to give our audience a chance to ask some questions. I'm sure you guys have millions and millions of questions to ask. Does anybody have a question for our guests?
Thank you very much for blessing us with your visit. I want to take you to our first introduction. When you were introducing yourself, that sparked something on me. You said that your students, 96% of them get employed. So, in Africa, we have 75% of our population being young people between the age of 23 and 35. And according to the African report of 2022, we need to find a way to invest in our students or in these young people so that they get more digital skills which can actually assist them. Like Africa, we are reliant on commodities. So digital skill could be our new commodity, which our young people can have. So I wanted to, like, what is the secret? How did you manage to bridge the gap between academia and industry? And how, like, the 96% is just some students who went to get employed, or some of them are entrepreneurs. Just share that recipe with us. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're trying to kind of bridge the gap between academia and industry in a way that, like, we have these living labs or some certain kind of learning and action environments. So if we have let's say a course about let's say entrepreneurship, so instead of like taking the book on entrepreneurship and kind of teaching that to students, and then you have read the book and have an exam, so we rather say, for example, that okay, let's have this first innovation bootcamp, that like let's innovate the ideas that like we get to in that phase. So then maybe next phase is like, okay, let's now go out to the companies and like start selling you. So let's have a competition of who can sell their product first and so forth. So kind of trying to really teach those skills that are needed in the working life. If we have, let's say, digital marketing students, so I'm running currently a course, digital marketing and sales. So we have, let's say, 60, 70 students maybe, and we have 17 different projects from the companies. So our job as teachers is like running a small consulting company, just making sure that all the teams are proceeding and delivering their stuff, what they have promised to the customers, external customers and companies, and then kind of embedding, like we have, for example, online course for all the theory parts. So we are combining these two. So kind of combining all the time the theory and practice. If you do this kind of during your studies, so you have you have the project skills, you have service design skills, you have the communication skills, all the kind of so-called 21st century skills that are needed for kind of getting employed, including or in addition to your whatever hard skills. What is your, is it like a supply chain or finance or digital marketing or something else? So these are the things. And maybe last thing is that like learn to kind of verbalize what you know. So we encourage the students to write, for example, project CVs where they kind of really in concrete way saying that like I have done digital marketing project where I set up a website, and then I did analytic projects, and then I had an email marketing campaign and this and that. So once employers have seen those project CVs, so they immediately can spot the skills that, oh, we have a website project, so come and work with us. Oh, you can do this. Compared to the situation with maybe traditionally with the universities that you have a diploma, you have a certificate, then I'm a hiring manager, I have like 100 same type of papers, like I have no idea who actually can do and what in practice. So these type of things maybe on the way. Antti, do you want to continue?
Yes, thank you, Asko. And something that we are trying to integrate in all our learning processes, whether it's a face-to-face teamwork together or whether it's an online course, so that we are giving and sharing the feedback constantly. So we have like rapid feedback processes. So if we have, for instance, a 5 days design sprint, we are ending every day. The final stage is to have a learning discussion. What did we do today? What went well? What should we do differently tomorrow? What we have learned? So that we want to like make an iterative learning and a constant feedback. Whether it has to do with the peer feedback between students, whether it has to do with the feedback between teachers and our students, or whether it has to do the feedback between our company like connections, so that all the time we want to emphasize the iterative learning based on constant feedback.
Any other questions?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was very insightful. I just have one question. I don't know how specific it is. So just think of a small organization that wants to introduce service design into the whole business practices. How much time do you think they should focus on service design as a whole? So yeah, that's the question.
Traditionally, when we are thinking how can we develop the way how we work, we are thinking about different kind of new tools, new methods that we can learn, adapt and apply, and we are thinking that we are able to change the way we work with these kind of sophisticated tools. But I would like to start with like going through the key principles: empathy, co-creation, process optimization, because those tools, templates, they come and go. But if we are able to really to understand the principles, then we are able to change the way how we work fast.
And maybe in practical steps, I would start first discussing with somebody who has been there in this journey, like maybe a couple of years before, maybe a little bit bigger company, so we can maybe see that what's the path kind of to the future. And then kind of learning the basics. You can have a couple of books or see a few online videos, learning the basic tools on the way, and then starting. So a very good recommendation from like what we do in Finland is like, if you don't know what you're doing, so get this group of students, let them to do the kind of project plan for you, that this is how we get competent in this new field, for example, and then start doing with the small projects, learn from them and see what needs to be changed and so forth. So it might be kind of getting started, so maybe you invest a little bit more time in there for a month or two, let's say, or let's say a quarter, and then once you kind of have the basics in place, so then it's just to do it as a part of your normal job and learn all the way kind of once you're proceeding.
Are there any other questions?
Good day. So I wanted to inquire as an individual trying to branch into academia, balance academia and the industry, and as going back to pointing out as an individual, how can you actually enhance your service design skills without probably focusing solely on academia or focusing on industry, but as a person, how can I go on as to how do I enhance them, or where do I start if I can't enhance them?
I would say that like try to get a kind of practical project. So if you happen to be in academia, for example, try to get like discuss with your teachers to like get the practical projects or get the hobby project, for example, where you can apply the thing in practice, or a community project, for example. And then kind of learn from there, get the reference, document it well, and then you have like one reference. Once you go to the next place, so then you say like, hey, I have done already this and I could do this and that. So once you have these kind of small projects, kind of few of them, so then it's, you kind of develop your, first of all, your skills, secondly, your kind of professional kind of confidence. So once you go to the next one, so you are like, okay, I can do this and that much bigger project, and I can actually charge for it because I'm already, you can see my references from here and so forth. So kind of get started and kind of try to mix the academia theory parts with the practice rather than kind of choosing one or another.
And also I would like to add that you can always start by designing your own life. Designing your own life, yeah. We can place us as in the center, as a end user, and we can, we can design the customer journey for us, and then throughout it, we can think about what kind of blueprint we need around it. What is the pain points of our life, and what are those wow moments, and how we can add more wow moments to our life, and how we can get rid of those pain points. And those are small micro-level changes. Then we are able to make this new theoretical knowledge into, practical skills. Start small, and then you are able to scale it.
Thank you so much. My question is, you know how you said in Finland, it doesn't really matter the time it takes to deliver, as long as you get delivered between this time and that time. So in South Africa, it's a bit different, because now getting your package after you order it online, it can take you a bit of time. And then now, how can now a company improve their service in terms of the returns? Because if already it's taking me so much time to get it, and then I'm returning it in terms of the return logistics, it takes even much more time. And you find that by the time it even gets there and they send it back, it's even still, again, a wrong product or it's a damaged product. How can they improve on that?
I know the problem, but I don't have any solution for that. So I don't know what to say on this one. But like I know that for example, Finnish small businesses, let's say that like if you're an artisan or something, like there has been many kind of sole entrepreneurs who have been killed by this like a return policy. So people are ordering 3 different sizes of trousers and like that, and kind of returning 2 of them and maybe or all of them. So this is a real issue, and like I think even in Zalando at some point of time had like 60-70% of the returns of everything they sold, which is like a kind of a environmental catastrophe and so forth. Kind of business-wise, it's like a, again, but like how to improve it, I don't know. Like some online kind of e-commerce sites have been doing that, like they have like stricter policies for returns, for example, or they have like better measurements on the sides if you are selling clothes, that like there are less kind of these mishits or these little things, but I haven't yet seen the kind of big silver bullet that would solve this big problem. But I recognize the problem. I don't have very good solutions for that.
I will share something around that. So I know there's some organizations that do it really well, like for example, G-Star, I guess also because they charge quite high prices to their customers and so they have to deliver a high service. A lot of the time, if you order something from their online store, what they'll do is when they deliver the package, they already print out like a label of if you want to return a particular item. So it's basically in a box and they tell you like open the box carefully so that if you happen to try the stuff on and want to return it, then it's much easier. Then you just repack it back into the box and it kind of already has the return address and all the details in there. And they have like a piece of paper where you can basically write what the problem with that particular item with. And I think the reason why their returns are quite quick when you return something and you want to get something else is because they've outsourced that entire function to the smaller courier companies like your DHLs and whatever. So I think the problem is when people design their supply chains, they don't design with the thoughts in mind that this particular item might get returned. And so what we're going to see more, especially now with the increased use of e-commerce and how companies are able to deliver much faster, is they're going to start thinking about their reverse logistics as well, not just because of returns, but also from a sustainability perspective, in that they also want people to send back some items. And so we will see an improvement in the reverse supply chain. It's just how organizations are currently designing their supply chain. It's just with the forward kind of thinking, but we are going to see them think about the reverse supply chain as well. Guys, we've actually reached the end of our talk. We can take it offline. However, thank you so much for making time. I really enjoyed our conversation. I think everybody else enjoyed it as well. And yeah, hopefully we'll have you back again soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate this opportunity to have this engaging conversation today. And we want to express our gratitude towards all that amazing hospitality you have shown for us during this week. And also you are celebrating your 20th anniversary. So congratulations, University of Johannesburg. And thank you for having this chance to be here today. Take care.